Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use Turnitin through Schoology. So when you go to create the assignment, you would start in the same way you would for any other assignment. So you would click Add Materials. But because Turnitin is linked through Schoology, we go down here to Add File Link or External Tool. So even though we're creating an assignment for the students to submit, we don't choose Add Assignment, we choose Add File. And we're going to click External Tool. So up here at the top of the screen, you're going to select Turnitin HHS. You want to give it the title of whatever it is you want to do. So I'm just going to create a name. And you can create parameters, but you don't need to. If you are interested in enabling grading, you will click here and fill in the accordingly, however you want it to work. And you can edit this part later if you need to. And then click Submit. And it will create your draft. So in order for it to actually work with Turnitin, you have to go to the next step, which is over here. And then, oh no, that's wrong. You come over here and click Narrative Draft to then go through the process to enable the features that you want it to use. So here you see the assignment inbox and the online grading report. This is exactly the same as the name that you gave it. This is going to be the same as the points that you gave it on the previous page. Here you're going to want to write any instructions that you want your students to have when they complete the assignment. The dates are very important because it's date and time. So the start date would indicate when they can submit the assignment for the first time. So it just depends on when you want them to be able to start turning it in. So really think about the distance between the start date and the feedback release date. This is the day they will be able to see any feedback or grades. I would encourage you to make sure that you are very clear about how you want them to use the feedback. If you want them to read the feedback, make changes, and submit again, then this date needs to be before this date. The due date is when they can no longer submit an assignment without it being marked as late. So change these so they are whatever you want them to be. If you're asking students to use feedback, the due date and the feedback release date should not be the same. If you come down here, you'll want to click Enable PeerMark and then watch the PeerMark video to know how to do that. Optional settings, these are the same that we had in our previous experience with Turnitin. So these are going to talk about how the originality report and grammar check are going to be used. So if they are submitting papers, you want them submitted to the repository. That means it's going to allow the paper to be stored, and it will be stored there forever. So the word of caution, if students are going to submit multiple drafts, you want to think about whether or not you're going to have them stored, because it will check the paper against itself. You can allow submissions of any file type. If you hover over these little question marks, it tells you that it will check for originality where possible, so that could include graphs and images. If you want it to allow late submissions, that connects to this date up here at the top of the page. So if you want them to be allowed to turn in late, then the due date will just mark it as late. But if you don't check this, then it will not allow students to submit after that due date. This is automatically checked. Enable Grammar Reader. That gives the students feedback about their grammar. These are automatically checked. You can check or uncheck them. You can change the handbook that is being used. You can attach a rubric here too. Again, if you hover, it allows you to upload a rubric for you to grade in Turnitin. You can compare against any of these things. They're automatically checked. Again, this is one of those things to think about if you're letting them submit more than one time. You can uncheck this. These are also things that you can alter as the assignment is turned in. This is the similarity report. Again, this is one of those things where you want to think about the parameters of what you're asking the students to do and what you want them to be able to use this app for. So do you want them to not be able to resubmit? Do you want them to resubmit until their due date, which is the very common one? Or the report only generates on the due date? So I would suggest you think about that middle one. You certainly want students to view the similarity reports in most cases. These you can check or uncheck as the assignments are turned in per student. You can click Save these settings, but I've never had much luck with the settings actually being saved. And most importantly, make sure you click Submit here so that it saves your assignment inbox settings. And now you'll notice that more gray parts attached across the top of the screen. I'll do another video for the Peermark setup.